Hello, everyone. Welcome to another installment of the FutureDDS Dental School Experience Series, where we help you decide, which dental school is right for you. Every school is different and unique in the experience that you will have, and who better to explain that experience than a dental student who goes there. Our goal is to give you a firsthand perspective of every dental school program across America and Puerto Rico, and ultimately help you make the right decision for you. Today, we'll be showcasing Mr. Jordan Barnett, who is a second-year student at University of the Pacific Arthur A. Dugoni School of Dentistry, for short, UOP. How you doing today, Jordan?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm so glad to be on here and just really excited. So thanks so much for having me.
Man, awesome. Thanks for taking some time out to join us. I know the schedule is busy, so
Yeah, a little bit
I
sometimes.
really appreciate this.
Of course.
Man,
Of course.
so if you could, just reintroduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about your background, where you went to undergrad, if you did a master's, where you did that, and then just explore a little bit into your journey into dental school.
Sure. So my name is Jordan Barnett. I'm currently a second year at UOP. And as everyone knows, UOP is the 3-year school. So I'm a second year, but I'm class of 2020. Very excited about that. I'm from Fresno, California originally, and I went to Fresno State, and I'm a very proud Bulldog. At the same time that Derek Carr was there. No, we weren't friends as much as I thought we were. Um, yeah, so while in undergrad, I struggled pretty hard, especially at the very beginning, maybe like some of you that are currently watching. And I found myself at a crossroads as the president of the pre-dental club. Wow, everyone thinks that I'm going to get in, but I know that I'm not sure if I have the grades to get in. So I kind of found myself in that really weird and interesting hole of like, is this going to work for me or is it not? And so yeah, I graduated, did pretty well at the end. And then I had took a gap year myself and I worked at a dental office, which was an amazing experience that I highly encourage everyone to do. And then, yeah, I matriculated in dental school. So things have been good. It's very busy, like everyone would imagine. And just really excited to be where I'm at currently. So,
Man,
yeah.
that's awesome. Awesome story. Seems like you took all the different routes, saw the different aspects of the industry before you even got to
I,
school.
I,
Almost.
I, I took the hardest route, arguably, yeah. But I think there's something about adversity, right, that really teaches you more than anything. At least it's what I saw. And yeah, I think I have a lot of bits of information about, especially applying, because I messed up every single part that you could mess up. So yeah, learn from my mistakes, please.
There we go. There we go. So just to learn a little bit more about UOP, if you could,
Sure.
tell us exactly where it's located, how that
Sure.
city is for you. Of course, still being from the West Coast, it's not too much of a change for you, but, explain a little
100%.
bit more about the city, and then also talk a little bit about your class size at UOP. And of course, you mentioned it was a 3-year college. We'll get a little bit more into like the
Sure.
dynamic curriculum and all that stuff later, but yeah, just give a little background about that.
Sure. So UOP it's actually kind of a misnomer because University of the Pacific has many different schools and they're not all on the same campus. So the home campus is in Stockton, California, and then the dental school is in its own building in downtown San Francisco. So right now, currently, I'm in an overpriced San Francisco apartment that I share with 3 of my classmates, and we are right smack downtown. So for anyone that's been in San Francisco, it's in the SoMa, which stands for South of Market neighborhood. We're right next to the BART, Union Square, all the really touristy things. I'm right there in the middle. So we have 144 per class. Since then, we've lost 3 in my class, so it's 141. And that's typical for every year. Let's see, we are split always into 8 groups of 18. And so it goes by alphabeticals. And since I'm Barnett, I'm the 5th alphabetical in the class, so I'm part of the 1st alphabetical section. It's 3 years again. So I matriculated 2017 in July, and I'll be expected to graduate June of 2020. And I cannot wait for that. Very excited.
I can imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's just rewind back a little bit more. When you were making your list of schools to apply to, you seemed like you were really gung ho about getting into dentistry. You were president of
Yeah.
the pre-dental society and all. So what were some things that you were looking at in a dental school while you were undergrad, making that list of schools, or I guess when you decided to apply to school, what were some things that you
Sure.
were looking at as important factors?
So I think that's an incredible question, and a question that as a pre-applicant, as a pre-dental student applicant, you really need to be honest with yourself, right? And not, at least for me, not view these schools of which, even though you're dreaming to go to, not as this crazy place that you can never go to that's flawless and has no flaws. There's every school offers something a little bit different, and you need to find what's most important to you. So what's most important to me, right? Just like everyone else here, I didn't, grow up and I wanted to be a dentist in 11th grade in high school. And I did not want to be a dental student. I wanted to be a dentist.
Right.
And I think that's the most important thing. So I think everyone needs to recognize that. And then secondly, you want to know what kind of dentist you want to be. For me, I want to be someone extremely, knowledgeable clinically, right? And I really like the idea of, having, a personality when you're doing dentistry. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're from. No one likes to go see the dentist. Not even me, maybe not even you. I don't know, put words in your mouth. But so having someone who can balance, both a personality as well as a strong clinical aspect. And then I'm not big into research myself. I don't think I'm smart enough to do research, just me personally. And I don't know if I have the personality for it, which is fine. So I wasn't too worried about a school that had a lot of research, but I wanted to go to a school that was, would teach me well enough to pass the boards. I wouldn't have to worry about that. As well as when I'm out in the field, because dentistry, you have to be a lifelong learner, right? And always keep up with all the materials and everything that's coming out. A school that would teach me the fundamentals and the skills to learn how to learn about that. So when I looked at it, I was very big on, okay, how many clinical hours are students taking? How large is the class size and what is the class ratio? What are the requirements for graduating? I.e., every school sounds kind of odd, and that's an interesting crossroads about dental school is every school has to do a certain amount of crowns, fillings, dentures, what have you. I was very insistent on knowing how much of each school, at each school they had to do. And so that was my way of saying, okay, how many hours am I going to get and what do I have to do? Right? Because I don't know what I'm going to be like in dental school. Will I be at the top, at the bottom, at the middle? I have no idea where I'll fare in the class. So what is the bare minimum I have to do for everything? And that's what I did. And then most, classes, I would, do as much as I can, try to reach out to students. This is a great service to see what students are like from those schools.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like I have to live there and I have to be at that school. And if it's full of people that I'm not really a fan of, right? That's fine. That's just not the place for me.
Right.
Right. And so it was clinical experience and hours, right? It was what's the curriculum really about? Is it really research heavy and, or is it more focused on dentistry? And then what are the people like? Do I fit?
Man, that's crazy because honestly, before I got into school and really like started interviewing and everything, I had no clue to even like look at necessarily the minimum requirements to graduate and little things like that. That really sculpt your whole experience and your environment and really your 4 year, like if you have to do so much clinical work in 2 years versus, and you don't get in the clinic until you're midway through your third year, like it could be stressful. It's a whole lot of different things like that. That's why.
Exactly. And again, you have to, I guess the way I look at it is because University of the Pacific is an expensive school. And the way I'm defining expensive, because expensive can be on a relative or it can be on an objective basis. On a relative basis or, subjective, it's like, okay, any school is like, oh my, how much is that? What is that? That's tuition for 1 year, right? But objectively, University of Pacific per year is, usually at the higher end, top end of price, right? And so I guess for me, it's like, even if I'm going to go to the cheapest school, objectively, that's still a lot of money. And I want to make sure I make good on that education, right? If I'm going to pay a cent, it needs to be, to my subjective understanding, worth it, right? And so I was again, I guess that's the thing. But they say beggars can't be choosers, but dental school applicants can be, because every dental school is going to look at you, at your file, at your ADSES application, like, who are you? Do we like you? Are you good enough? As the dental school applicant, it is your job to be doing the same thing to schools.
Exactly.
Right. And I know, I wasn't the guy that with a 30 DAT and a 4.0 GPA, but still, like, looking at those things objectively, it's like, okay, where do they stand? That's fine. And I think every school focuses on different things. And I found a school that focused on the things that I liked.
Man, I think that's very important, especially, getting into the interview process and actually going to vet these schools and learn more about the schools.
Yeah.
And, that's actually funny because that leads us into our next question of, how was the interview process when you were actually at UOP? And I guess did that obviously play a big role in you choosing UOP at the end of the day? Like, could you walk us through that day and, maybe some of the questions that you would suggest to ask?
Yeah. So for me, University Pacific I'm from Fresno, California. So San Francisco is the closest like city where a dental school is in California to my home. So it's about 3 hours away. So the day that I had the interview was like my 10th time to the school. Right. So I was the biggest UOP fan slash cheerleader fangirl you could be. Right. And so I was very, like already kind of not in, but I knew the culture, I knew the environment, I knew what I was getting myself into. But for myself, I interviewed at 3 schools. I interviewed at Penn, at UOP, and at NYU. And then I did not go to the BU interview because I was already in UOP.
Okay.
The UOP interview of the 3 that I went to was the most relaxed. You walk in at 10 o'clock. I think it starts at 10:30. Maybe they tell you. I was there. I was the last one there of the 6 people that were there at the interview. And I was 15 minutes early. I was the last one there. Right. Dental students are always prompt, sharp, and ready to go. Yeah. And it was nice. Just like every school, they're going to give you an overview of the school. This is who we are. It's their sales pitch to you. This is how much it costs to go here. Every school, I didn't have that. Right. So you kind of learn about the loans and things like that. And then at UOP, you get 2 interviews. Now with these interviews, they do because I was actually part of the student interviewers. So I interviewed incoming students when I was, here as a second year. So both the faculty as well as the student have your file. So it's an open file thing, right? So like always, one of the biggest things that I say is know your application, right? If I looked at it and said, oh, okay, I noticed you were a sushi chef. How was that? And it's like, wait, what? Yeah, well, that's not very, that doesn't really like reflect well on you, right? But it was, if you look on, the black hole of SDN, right, you'll see that, I know, we won't even get into that. But a lot of people ask, they say, it was my most relaxed interview. And I definitely think that was 100% true. And again, I guess my advice, one really quick advice to anyone interviewing is when you're interviewing, just like playing a sport. I don't look very athletic, but believe it or not, I used to play sports a little bit. In every sport, you have to warm up. Right. And I think that when you're going to an interview, it's a very social environment because you have to be, right? Essentially, at every interview, the school's saying, Tyrell, you are smart enough to go here. We like you on paper. Now I just need to meet you and see if you match what the paper says. And if you do, great. Right? And so I want to give them my best, just like the school should be giving me their best. So what I did is feel free to use this as you want. I went to Starbucks. I found the closest Starbucks every school I interviewed at. Got there and I just talked to 3 random people and I said, hey, how's it going? I'm not from here. Where's the best place to eat?
All right.
Right. Which is really easy to say, very quick questioning. And then what you're doing is you're warming up. You walk into every school probably has a security guard or some type of staff member. Talk to them. Hey, how you doing? They know you're nervous. They know they're expecting you at everyone. Hey, Tyrell, we're so excited that you're here. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. My flight was crazy, but I'm so glad to be here. Now you walk in and you're ready. Whereas in every other interview that I went to, that's not something a lot of students do. And they're like, they're nervous. It's a big deal. And so I think for me, it was all about let's hone in and let's get ready. But back to the UOP, I think it's a very relaxed interview. You're never going to feel relaxed when you're going into it. But as soon as you're there, I think they do a really good job of kind of mailing you out. And they really make sure they socialize you with UOP students. So you have lunch with UOP students and it's really relaxed and a lot of fun, actually. Okay,
so you get there and say, well, I guess you go on the tour first, or I guess like get the.
Yeah. So you walk in. We have a really nice sitting area that dental students don't really have the time to sit and watch TV at. But you sit there and and you meet your other interviewees. They bring you up to a room. They give you again an hour long like pitch about the tuition, how it works, right? All those things, like I said, like the logistics of this, how many people in your class. This is XYZ, right, about the school. Then they give you financial. Then you get a tour. So half goes on a tour, half goes into their faculty interview, right? And then you guys switch, right? And then, you switch. So one person then goes to their faculty interview, the other group goes on the tour. And then you have lunch with students, and then you have your student interview. What's cool about the student interview is the school is one large building, right? Not too big, but it's a building. And so the student interviewer can take you wherever in the building. So my student interview actually was with a second year student you always have it with a second year student. And he had a patient right after that. He didn't know he had my interview with me. So he was like setting up his operatory while we're doing it, which is, yeah, definitely kind of caught me off guard. But,
Yeah,
you know,
that's cool
but it's
though. I mean,
relaxed.
it gives you a good experience, like to see what the school has to offer as well. Like checking out the
100%.
clinic and really seeing like a patient or a student in the environment. So that's pretty cool.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it. And then I think the dean kind of comes and says, "Hey, congratulations." Because, and I think that's important to know to all applicants. If you make it to an interview, that's awesome. You should pat yourself on the back. That is not something to be taken lightly. Like, you're great, and I think also, lastly, I'll just put in my last bit of advice is, if you get invited for an interview, know the school's numbers. How many people do they invite for an interview? That's a very quick question that every school can answer.
Yeah.
At the University of the Pacific, for my year, they had 2,958 applications, I believe, and they sent out 250 interview requests
Yeah.
for 144 spots. So that means that at an interview, 2/3 of the people at the interview have a seat secured in dental school. So that means if you look to your left and to your right, you know that 2 of you are going to get in.
Yeah, definitely.
Versus when I went to Penn, there was 13 of us, and they mentioned there's like 1 of you will get in. It was like, okay, shoot.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, the girl that they accepted, I would have accepted her over me any day. She was incredible. So,
Yeah,
you have to know those numbers.
that's true. That's definitely true. It's good to go into it, thinking about those things and looking into it. So,
100%.
after you do your interview, of course, you spent a lot of time at UOP already, but you finally get that acceptance letter that you're officially going to start. How exactly was that transition for you? I'm sure you were excited to finally, start the dental
Yeah,
school journey officially, but how exactly was that transition, going from orientation into actual coursework? And I guess
sure.
how did you settle in after a few months?
So one thing, it's funny because I appreciate the compliment. You said that it seemed like I was prepared. When I got into dental school, I was like, oh my God, I made it. Thank God. Hallelujah. Like,
Hey, man.
that's it. I'm so excited, right? And my girlfriend, who I've been with now for 4 years almost, she was super excited. We celebrated. My family was excited. And then I really didn't look too much into school. I was kind of like, okay. And I think that's important. I got in February and we started in July.
Yep.
So I was still working at the dental office. So I kind of just finished my time out there. And also I had my own private tutoring business. So I still worked all the way up. I had, tried to make as much money as I could. And then starting, I went to a semestral school in undergrad, and I'd been out of school for a year. We're on a quarter system. So that was a completely different experience. It was like week 6. I was like, why is everyone so worried? They're like, dude, we have finals. And there's no way. Like, what are you talking? I'm used to
finals.
Yeah, I was like, we just started. So, yeah, for me at University of Pacific, because we dropped that year, we do all sim lab and all didactics on 1 year, right? Yeah, I mean, so there's still quite a bit of didactic load in the second year, but nonetheless, you're doing all your, biomedical sciences in the beginning, and you're also, in the sim lab 16, 20 hours a week in your first year, right? Scheduled. So it's like, for me, I came in thinking, and just to show you how dental school is, you have no idea what you'll be like as a dental student.
Oh yeah.
Know yourself, what works for yourself maybe, but I really didn't know. I wasn't a good studier, right? And I thought, I was like, okay, I'm going to be the dumbest kid in my class. I had a low GPA and an average GAT, right? Not our school's average, but an average.
All right.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to be so good at drilling. And it was the exact opposite. I found that people had to study a lot more than I did, right, when we first started. And I had hands like a snake. I mean, I was just like, what's going on? Like, I can't figure out this drill. It goes so fast. There's water everywhere. So for me, I think what it was is, okay, I spent the first 2 quarters, the first half of my first year, really figuring out who am I as a student, which I found out, okay, I'm an actually efficient studier. I usually study late, that works for me. I don't like studying in the morning. I like studying at night, right? And I need to be, I had to be drilling, ever so often. Whereas the guy that sat next to me, he had one of the best hands in the class. Like, he had to study every night for 6 hours. That was his thing. And I think that's very natural when you go into dental school, is like, oh my God, what is this place? Almost every school, all first years do the exact same thing, And so it's very common to kind of go with the group. You don't know any of these people. Everyone's new. It's like, what are you doing? Oh, you're studying? Oh, I should study too. What are you doing? Yeah, right. But I think it's important to find what you need, and asking for help early, which I didn't do, is very important. There's nothing wrong with that. You're paying a lot of money. Get the help you need. All schools want you to succeed. So take advantage of, their lending hand. And succeed.
Definitely, definitely. So I guess when you get there and you say you start July, is it early July, late July?
It's July, so we started July 11th, and that was Tuesday, July 11th, 2017, and we had 4 days until Friday, where we like took our ID picture, right? Here's me,
Okay.
right? Yeah, we did like an overnight trip where we like all got to know each other. It was like a
Nice.
social. Yeah, and then we kind of like learned school, like, oh, this is how it's going to be, and yada yada. And then we officially started school that next Monday, which was Monday, I believe the 17th, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, and the way UOP works is you start that time, you're 11 weeks on, 1 week off for that break, 11 weeks on, 2 weeks off for winter break, 11 weeks on, 1 week off for spring break, 11 weeks on, 4 weeks off for summer, and it's always the same rotation. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. Smooth. So I was wondering how they fit everything into to 3 years.
Barely,
But
barely, barely. You're pulling your hair out the whole time. No, and it's funny. I think that's a great question. I'm sure that's what a lot of people want to know. I've heard from a lot of pre-dental students like, oh, I don't want to go to a UOP because that's 3 years and I'm not smart enough. That's too hard. From what I've seen, and especially watching some of your guys' interviews too, like every dental school is hard.
every school, definitely.
And if it's not hard, then you're not working hard enough. Right? Then something else is going on. So it's like, for me, like if you're going to dental school and you're scared of hard work, you need to, I think, really reevaluate what you're getting yourself into, because all dental school is hard. So how do they do it? They tell you where to go and you kind of just do it, just like at every other dental school.
Yeah.
So
I mean, realistically, getting into dental school is hard enough. So you can only imagine once
that's
you
what I'm
get there,
saying.
like the work is just starting almost.
If you want to be a dentist and some school says, yes, you can come and train at our dental school, don't question that and go.
Definitely.
And so, all right, tell me what I need to do. I'm ready.
Yep. So exactly. I guess you kind of mentioned it already with like 11 weeks on, 1 week off. But how is a typical day or a typical week set up, class wise and lab wise, and then of course getting into clinic, assisting, and eventually transitioning into clinic full time.
Sure. So, again, I'm a second year of the 3 years. So the first year is we're in school pretty much Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. almost every day, Monday to Friday. In your first year, they schedule 16 hours in, so that's 2 full days of school, 8 hours each, where you are in the sim clinic learning preps, learning lab techniques, learning anything like that. CAD, CAM, all that interesting, fun stuff on a Typodon. And then, of course, they mix some time in where you're working on each other as well.
Right.
And then, the rest of it, really the rest of, I don't know, maybe 18 of the 40 hours in a week, you're in a class learning something, usually science-based and or dentistry-based.
Okay.
And that pretty much transitions all the way into the second year. And then what we do is at the end of our second year, right? At the end of our first year, we all see our first patient. That's usually like a fun class exercise where you bring in someone, maybe a friend, maybe whoever, and you kind of, rehearse, okay, this is what it's really like.
Okay.
And then when it comes July, after your 4-week break in your second year, you're able to schedule a patient the first day.
Wow.
And and so I was fortunate enough. I had my girlfriend come. She was in town for the white coat ceremony we had, because we do our white coat ceremony after our first year.
Okay.
So that white coat ceremony for us is not, in most schools, they do it right before you start. Like, hey, you're in dental school. Ours is like, okay, you've been in dental school, but now you're actually like, you're going to do the real stuff now on real people. So yeah, she was in town. She was my first patient. And from there, what we do is we spend, it's 8-hour day. So the first 2 hours of school now for the majority of second year have been some type of lecture, right? And then now our classes are much more dental focused.
Okay.
Right. Versus like anatomy. Right? They're much more like, there's a bunch of anatomy in dental school. I don't care what school you go to. Right. And then what we do is they split our class in half. So half of our class, depending on your last name, right, go into clinic, and the other half have that 3 hours of lecture time usually. Okay. Right. And then at lunch we switch.
Okay.
So the time the people that were in class are now in clinic and vice versa. And it's good because that means that there's less students there, with less, that means more chairs are available, I guess, to see patients. So that's good. And it's a pretty efficient system. They were definitely methodical about how they set that up. So yeah, my typical day, like today, we didn't have lecture in the morning. We usually have our exams Monday morning at 8 a.m. We did not have an exam today. My dad was my patient actually at 10 a.m. So I saw him from 10 to 1. I had lunch with him. And then we do not, it's a lighter quarter this quarter because we're transitioning to third year. But we did not have lecture from 2 to 5. So that's why I'm here doing this interview with you. Thank you so much again for having me. And then we have night clinic on Monday and Thursday evenings. So I have a patient at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
To 9. So.
Okay, that's more something interesting. Like the late 6 to 9 clinic. That's interesting, man.
Yeah.
I think I would like that actually, because like it's a big population out there that like work during the day and don't get off in time to get to you. So that 6 to 9 is definitely crucial.
It's totally true. And that's something that the school recognized, that we have an underserved population that unfortunately has to work. Again, no one wants to see the dentist. And, if you don't have a whole lot of money, going to see the dentist is usually not high on your priority list. So you have to work first. And so offering those 2 times, Monday and Thursday evenings from 6 to 8:30 or 6 to 9, right, is a perfect way of, supporting those people who have to work, can only come on time. I have a couple patients who can only come at night, and that's fine. We're open. So.
Got you. So, going through the schedule, we all know, I'm sure and all the other dental school students out there know how hectic, how stressful it can be, going through the crazy curriculum and everything, and managing patients and everything. How exactly do you personally handle work-life balance? And then, I guess, are there any like systems, whether it's like a faculty member, a psychologist, some type of system they have set up where you can actually, seek help if you are struggling with your work-life balance and want to
100%.
work on that?
Right. I think what you just mentioned is more important than anyone can really understand until they get into dental school. And something that, again, when you're interviewing, I think is an important question for you as the applicant. Say, hey, like, how do students do it? And if someone's struggling, which everyone does to whatever extent, even if they don't want to, mention that they are, you need to know if help is there. So for our school, ever since, Dugoni, the reason his name Dugoni, he was one of our deans. He's Dean Emeritus. He's now 94 and he comes to school all the time. He's like a celebrity at our school. We love him. He's great. So when he was dean, he hired a full-time psychologist, and our psychologist is there. I've seen him, and I think it's been great. I thought it was taboo before dental school, and then you learn more and you kind of really get in that situation. And he was great. It was nice. We just kind of hung out and talked, and it was very typical couch, like, okay, let me relax. And it was good. So we do have that. And then also we have a peer mentor club, which I'm a peer mentor in our school. So that's something that we, set up that are second and third years, right? And then the peer mentors are able to help, first, second, and or third years if they're, needing help. And that's public around the school. Everything's confidential. And we're trained by our school psychologist on how to be, a good listener, an active listener, as well as, someone there if someone needs it. And then we have a lot of different, clubs, organizations that students can get involved in.
Yep.
And I think that's a great way of, kind of reaching out if you need it. But it's very important, and mental health is something that I personally and my school takes very seriously. So yeah, if help is needed, help is there.
Yeah, awesome. Of course, you're in San Francisco, which has a wealth of things to do. I'm sure there's endless things to do in the city.
So many things.
Yeah. Golden State there in the finals right now. I mean, yeah.
I'm actually rooting for the Raptors, so don't let anyone know that. Yeah. Kawhi and Dine. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. So,
There we go. All right, awesome. We got a few more questions here. I ain't gonna hold you up too much longer. But
no, please. I love this.
Got you. So, all right. So the next question is for someone that's looking at Dugoni for potential school of theirs. What are some things that you would suggest that they start focusing on now? To I guess make their application that much stronger, and then also after they do get in, if they are lucky enough to get accepted, like so they actually be successful getting through the dental school process.
Sure. So I'll give generic dental school advice, what all dental schools want to hear, and then I'll give more UOP specific. So as we all think, it's pretty accurate, right? The dental schools want to know that you're smart enough to get through the curriculum, number one. It is not advantageous to the student, nor is it to the school if they do not think that you'll be smart enough to get through the program. Right. So if you have or had low grades like I did, right, I would definitely focus on 5 main classes that almost every school is going to have. Anatomy, take an anatomy course. Right? Take a biochemistry course, take, histology if they have it, that'd be awesome. Not my favorite subject, but take it if you have it. And physiology, right? So, some type of thing. some type of thing that you as a student can sell, like, hey, like, look, I've done well in an upper division course. And so I think that will translate to me doing well in your program. And a DAT for someone who has low grades is everything. Because then if they're questioning you based on your grades, you say, well, look at my DAT score. My DAT score is a standardized test that all test takers take, right? And I scored in this area, which means that I'm better than, a 21 based on like 2015 stats is 90th percentile. That means you are top 10%. So it's like, okay, that means that there's going to be room for you somewhere.
Right.
My answer to that was always, well, Jordan, you have low grades, but I'm confident in my academic ability. If you accept me and you give me a chance, I will work my butt off and I will make sure that I can do it. And if you say that confidently, which you should, because you're at the interview, I don't see anyone that'll be like, no, you're too dumb. No, they're gonna like you for that. For UOP specifically, what really caught me off guard about UOP is how social it is, and which is a good thing. I think that my perception, which was ill-founded, right, was that people like yourself and myself don't exist in dental school. That being social and like, yeah, I like to have fun too. I thought it was going to be everyone that just studies all the time. Yeah. What I found is that specifically at UOP, there's a really like big work hard, play hard type of environment. And I've liked that. And it really caught me off guard. I thought I'd be the loud guy in class, and not that I'm not, but there's a lot of fun and a lot of really interesting personalities in our class. And I love that at our school. And we really, being in San Francisco, that's definitely something that's appreciated and liked. Other thing about UOP is they like people that are efficient. They like leaders, and that, again, that's pretty generic for every dental school, because if you want to be a dentist, whether you're in a private practice or you're in a non-private practice setting, you're going to have to lead people. That's just what it is about dentistry. So, for myself, I had my own private business and I employed a couple people, as well as, I was the president of the Dental Club, like probably a lot of people are, that are involved. So I really focused my application on those two themes of I'm a strong leader, right? And I'm going to take my business experience to the next level, right? And then I have a big personality and I want that personality to shine through. And through that, I want to, show how dentistry can be worked into everyone's lives. Right. So that's my specific tip for UOP is, are you a fit? And the fit is, I'm fun, I'm exciting, and I'm going to work hard and be a leader.
Right. That's very crucial. I mean, honestly, we kind of harp on that too, is like, even if you're doing something, whether it's academic enrichment, whether it's volunteer work, like working on a project and taking a bigger role, taking on bigger roles in these different things, because you're gonna have to, like you said, lead people. You're gonna have to, handle a patient load. You're gonna have to, manage the staff and all of the above, especially like you said, if you want to own a practice or if you just want to work at a practice, you're gonna have to work as a leader in some capacity. So I think that makes sense.
And I just want to go on too, when I met with the dean, because that was important to me. Our dean's accessible. We're all in one building. And I asked him, I was like, what's important to you? He said, what's important to me is my mission statement. My mission statement is advancing oral health care. And this is me talking directly to you, Tyrell. By you and Tyler doing something different, right? And reaching out to people that want to be dental students and empowering them to be better and give them all the tools. That is something that's different, right? Something that that's important to you and that will ultimately help others. And that is what, to me, leadership really is. And those are things that people that go into dental school are like. So kudos to you and Tyler. And I'm all about that too. So
I appreciate you, dog. You're definitely doing your thing as well, man, with the tutoring and everything as well. Definitely have a keen passion for that. So it's good to see, honestly. But we're gonna get into, I think we have two more big questions I want to ask you. These are things that you might have already hit on throughout the interview already, but I just want you to maybe reiterate or bring up any new things that you see are complete advantages or things that are completely unique to your experience at Dugoni. I mean, granted, you only have your one experience from your school, but some things that you won't want to change.
Sure. So you want to talk about big advantage? My biggest one was, again, my dream was not to be a dental student. It was to be a dentist. And whatever school is going to allow me the opportunity to do that, that's great. I was willing to go to any dental school, that's why I applied. I think I applied to 15, And I only applied to dental schools, even though I said that I would go to. And that was based on the criteria that I mentioned earlier, based on clinical experience, things like that. I did apply to Tufts, actually. So, yeah, didn't get an interview back, but that's okay. It's okay.
All right.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm very happy where I'm at.
Oh,
So
it's working. It seems to be working now. So, you know.
yeah, no, and honestly, I'm a huge fan of Tough. So don't worry, no hard feelings. Um, but specific advantage was, again, it's 3 years, and a lot of people are like, oh, that's crazy. How are you crazy enough to do that? It's like, my question back to you is like, well, how are you crazy enough to do dentistry? Because dentistry is hard, right? And so it's like why, for me, my family is number one, family over everything. And this is the closest to my family, so it's accessible. I can't afford a car here, so that's okay. I take the Amtrak right back to Fresno and back home in 3 hours if I need to be.
Nice.
So that was huge for myself, right? Secondly is looking at a school's location, right? Okay, so San Francisco, I know the Bay Area because I'm from here. And I know that there's lots of people that aren't able to see a dentist, which is good for me, meaning I'll have more accessibility, right, as a student dentist.
Right.
And the school used to be in the Pacific Heights neighborhood. Now it's in the Soma neighborhood, right next to the BART. The BART is the Bay Area Rapid Transit Center. So it connects the entire Bay Area. So patients we have from, maybe a 50, 60-mile radius that are easily able to come. So that was important to me. And I think that's a really big thing because now that I'm in clinic, right, meeting, people from all over the Bay Area and then being able to see me easily and accessibly is really big. Because you can be at the most amazing dental school, but if it's on, the ivory towers and no one can get up the tower, then unfortunately you're going to be sitting there with nothing to do. And I didn't pay a cent to not do nothing in dental school. I want to be as busy as I can. So that was big. And, also kind of harping on the 3 years thing and any dental school. This is, my power to anyone that goes to dental school is, I wanted to go somewhere that was clinically focused, right? And that, for me, I'm still deciding whether residency or not. I'm not really looking into residency right now because I've, from Fresno, which is where a lot of UOP alum are, right? They're all really, my dentist for my whole life, he's from UOP, and he keeps telling me, hey, I'm ready for you to graduate. Come over here. Because I know that you went to UOP and I know you have the goods, right? And if you go to any school, if you go to Tufts, you should wear that proudly and say, yeah, I went to Tufts, right? I'm going to be a safe beginner when I get out, but I have the skills and the capabilities to learn. And I think that's number one. So for me, having a school that boasts something like that, every school has something they boast, whether it's more CAD/CAM, whether it's more, they're leading in digital dentures, whether they're doing something different, something that they're really proud of. I think you should be able to, talk about that, especially to future employers and or residencies, and say, this is something that I learned individually at my school, right? And I got the most out of it, and that's going to make me X as a dentist.
Very true.
And hopefully that X is that X factor that really they want, So UOP, yeah, it's fun, centrally located, good people, great place, and you learn a lot. So
awesome.
Very happy about that.
Cool. So this is going to be the last question just to wrap it up, man. Jordan, you've
Tell
been
me.
giving some great knowledge, some great advice so
Thanks.
far. So this last question is going to be, if you have any last words of advice, for viewers that are pre-dental students, maybe, or even dental students that may be struggling through their process or anything like that, any words of wisdom, just advice, any type of, motivation, anything that you have, any last tidbits or gems that you want to give to the people out there?
Sure. And again, I'm just going to quickly reiterate, thank you so much for having me on this. If I were a pre-dental student right now, I would have watched every single one of your videos to this date. And that's not just me being nice because I'm on here. Literally, because what better way to look at a dental school than actually hear a dental student's perspective?
Very true. Appreciate
secondly, yeah, of course. Secondly, this is my perspective. If you were to do this with another student from UOP, they might give you something different.
Right.
I know that I've been trying to get everything that I've, gotten from here that the school has to provide. Hopefully this has been helpful to some extent. My last thing is if you're like me, and again, me is someone who was sitting there knowing desperately they wanted to go to dental school, but they weren't sure how to do it. If you do not, and this is just with life, right? If you really want something, do not take no for an answer. And I did not take no for an answer. Remember that when you apply to a dental school, if you're courageous enough, and I applaud anyone who is, right? You are paying that school a fee, a large fee, I think, right? To just read through your application. So for myself, and I have a whole YouTube thing myself, I don't go on it very much. It's nowhere near FutureDDS, but still, I have a whole 30-minute video. If you like the sound of my voice, you can hear that whole thing where I give advice there. But yeah, reach out to schools, right?
Definitely.
I think we all think that, again, dental schools or any type of residency or anything, right, is this unattainable thing that, oh, we're gonna, cast our net. Oh, I hope that they pick me, right?
Right.
Don't think that. Show yourself. Say, hey,
Mhm.
I'm really interested in your school. They already know that because you applied. Tell them again, I'm really interested in your school, and I know I have the ability to do it. And if you, don't quit and you have that attitude, no one's going to say no to you.
No.
And and lastly, and I'm sure that you have a whole thing you could do about it yourself, is be yourself. I think with dental school, especially applying,
Mhm.
right, you feel pushed often to try to be something different. Oh, I want to be at this school. They have a different fit. I met Tyrell. Tyrell's like this. Let me be like Tyrell. Oh, I met Jordan. Let me be like Jordan. They don't want another Jordan. They already have Jordan. They already have Tyrell.
Exactly.
But what they don't have is someone who is uniquely you, right? And so I think being authentic and being yourself, I think can take you much further than just dental school and in your life, and really fulfill you as a person. So
Man.
that's my advice to you. Again, good luck to anyone that's crazy enough to try to apply. Watch FutureDDS videos and subscribe to their account, their channel. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, Jordan Barnett, the crazy guy that goes to UOP. Yeah, again, thanks so much for having me. Really, really appreciate it.
Man, awesome, man. Jordan, appreciate you so much, man, for just,
Of
again,
course.
take some time out. I know you got patience today and everything, so we squeezed this
Sure.
in here, but definitely, man, you gave out some great gems, great advice to not only people interested in UOP, but people just interested in getting into dental school or in pursuing the field in dentistry or a
Sure.
career in dentistry in general, man. So I just want to say thank you again for taking some time out, on behalf of Future DDS and, of course, all the viewers out there who were receptive to all this knowledge that you're giving, man. Definitely, if you haven't already, go follow Jordan at, we'll put his Instagram down in the description. He gave you his Facebook contact, but definitely tap into him. He seems to be obviously a wealth of knowledge. He was a tutor. He can help you with so many different things and different aspects of you getting into school. So take advantage of this video series. Take advantage of these people, of these students that are offering their advice and definitely the words of wisdom that they're giving to you, like Jordan, man. But again, Jordan, just want to say thank you again, man. Best of
Sure.
luck heading into your last year at UOP.
Yeah, one more.
One more. Let's knock it out, man. Let's knock it out. Get out of there, and
Sure.
celebrating 2020 when you get to go and step out into the career field on your own, man. That's awesome, man. It's a great accomplishment coming up
Me
for
too.
you.
Yeah. And again, I can't say enough. Future DDS is doing every pre-dental student the biggest service. And even for me as a dental student, I want to know what other dental students are doing. So it's awesome for me to see, like, oh, that's what Tufts is like.
It's
Okay,
wild.
it's crazy, And so again, just take advantage. And I think that's the beauty of social media and what we're doing here, right? Is connecting everyone. And dentistry is a collaborative field, much more than I would have ever thought. So yeah, feel free to collaborate. Feel free to reach out to me. Future DDS, plug in, and anything I can do on my end, I'd be more than happy to do it. If you're out in San Francisco, much is on you because I can't afford it.
Uh,
Thanks so
awesome,
much.
man. Hey, man, you might be done before me, so we'll figure it out when we get there. But we're
We'll
definitely
figure it out.
done, man. Definitely. Awesome, man. Well, it was great talking to you, Jordan. I'll let you go now. But for any of you guys out there watching, make sure, again, go follow Jordan. Go follow us on Instagram at _FutureDDS. Follow our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button, subscribe button, and the notification bell so you know whenever we post some new content. And again, we're going through all of the schools, all the dental programs in America. So stay tuned to every dental school. Make sure you're tapping into these schools, learning more as much as you can before you get into the application cycle. And hopefully this series is allowing you to make the best decision on which place is going to be best for you to spend your next, 3 to 4 years in dental school. But that's going to be it. See you guys next time. Thanks again, Jordan. See you later.
Thanks so much.